So I'm Lucia, and I'm going to be talking about how to correctly use pronouns and avoid misgendering. So first, to make sure that we're all on the same page, I'd like to talk about what pronouns are. So pronouns refer to the words that we use to refer to others instead of repeating their name. An alternative, uh, misgendering is the usage of pronouns and other gendered words that don't accurately match or represent a person's gender identity. You may be wondering, why would pronouns be an issue? If they're simply words that we use to refer to people, then why would I be up on stage talking about it? Well, pronouns are a part of our identity. Our identity is made up of many different components, such as our cultural background, our race, our ethnicity, and many other factors. However, one significant one is our gender identity and our sexual orientation, which includes pronouns. So when you disrespect someone's pronouns or when you misuse them, you're not only disrespecting that, but you're disrespecting their identity as a whole. While misgendering and incorrect usage of pronouns is a big issue in the world, it's mainly something that we see on social media or online. It's not something that we view as happening with us. However, one part of misgendering is misgendering in schools. It's not talked about a lot. However, it's a lot more common than we think. According to a study, 78% of queer individuals have experienced either mistreatment, misgendering, or harassment in a school environment. Misgendering can lead to higher levels of stress, anxiety, and an overall decline in mental health and overall well-being. So I'm going to be talking about how we personally can avoid misgendering and how we as a school can avoid it. So the first strategy I have for individually avoiding misgendering is presenting your pronouns. Generally, when we introduce ourselves to someone, we tell them our name and sometimes some information about ourselves. What I'm suggesting is that we include our pronouns in that introduction. It might sound something like this. Hi, I'm Lucia, and I go by she, her pronouns. By including our pronouns in our introduction, we create a safe space where the other person may feel comfortable enough to also share theirs. However, it's important to remember that nobody owes you their pronouns. Some people don't feel comfortable, and if they don't share it, that's perfectly okay. It's best to just use they, them until you're made aware of what they feel most comfortable with. The second is avoiding assumptions. Usually when we view people, we categorize them into our mind as either masculine or feminine. And we tie masculinity to men and he, him pronouns, and femininity to women and he, him, she, her pronouns. However, that's not always the case. For instance, if we saw a masculine presenting person, we might assume that they go by he, him pronouns. However, they might use she, her, and we could never know because your appearance does not define your gender. So it's important to remember that when you're viewing someone, it's best to just not assume and use they, them until they tell you what they feel most comfortable with. So on to how we as a school can help. I have a few different strategies. So the first one would be implementing educational programs, preferably in advisory sessions, where we teach students about different genders, different pronouns, and how to correctly use these pronouns. By doing this, we make sure that all the students are aware of what misgendering is and the impact of it. And we also create a sense of connection and empathy within all the students in our school. The second is support systems or support groups. We could have different groups where queer individuals can come together and connect with other people like them, where they can share their experiences. By doing this, it makes them feel like they're not alone and they're not the only ones who are going through this. It could also be a service group. The third would be inclusive policies. We at OSC already have one inclusive policy, one that I have in mind, where it's about tolerating discrimination. It's great that we have that policy in place. However, I don't think that much students are even aware that it exists. I'm a student in secondary, and what I hear jokes in the hallways about people's pronouns and their gender identity. In class, I hear my own classmates talking behind people's back, making fun of how they identify, which ties back to why it's so important that we have education in advisories so that everyone is educated and understand the impact of misgendering. And fourth, which is a really important one, is staff training. Generally, teenagers and children are more aware of the queer community because it's seen as a newer concept in the world, and it's understandable as to why adults would have less of an understanding, because when they were our age, the way that the LGBTQIA+ community was viewed is very different to how it's viewed today. But it's important that we keep the teachers up to date, because as time goes on, society changes, and with society, so does gender diversity, and with gender diversity, so does language. So we need to make sure that teachers are up to date and in the loop with us, and they're aware of gender diversity and aware of the language that they have to use. To summarize what I've said, pronouns are not just a part of our vocabulary, but they're a part of our identities. And in order to respect everyone around us, we need to respect how they identify and their pronouns. By doing this, we create a safe environment for everyone, no matter how they identify, and we celebrate diversity, which is an especially important theme at OSC, considering our motto is unity in diversity. Thank you.